Hello. So, we return. We return for more Cthulhu. We are again playing Alone Against the Tide for session 2, where we left our hero, our character, Professor Eleanor Woods, who is writing their own research paper. It doesn't really say what on, but she is an ex-gang member from Boston who got herself a education and is writing a research manuscript to attempt to get academic acclaim. So our Eleanor purchased an idol and the journal of Professor Warren Harris. We have travelled to the island of Esbury, or we've travelled to Esbury with the intentions of purchasing. We've been sent by Miskatonic University to acquire some of the works of Professor Warren Harris, who passed away possibly from taking his own life. There's lots of being careful around wording of such an act. But anyway, we are progressing through. Eleanor came to the island by ferry, attended... I'm just erasing where I marked. We were on number 9. Attended an auction where she acquired the 2 items via a what's it called? Closed bid, hidden bid, blind bidding, and has then retired to a local boarding house for the night. And we begin the next day. I think that's it. Do I need to say anything else? We haven't taken any damage, we've not taken any sanity loss, our credit rating has reduced from 60 to 48 due to the purchases, and that's about it really. And it's a bit cold. It's a bit cold with my thin jumper on. And again, if my shiny noggin disturbs you, do feel free to comment below, which sounds awful. But someone might watch this up until this point. 2 minutes in, we'll attempt to do about half an hour again. We'll see where we end in about half an hour's time. You wake in the morning grateful for the rest. You rise from your bed and take in the modest surroundings that make up your room. The furnishings are sparse. A small, poor quality dresser and a cramped and dusty writing desk tucked in the corner. Sitting atop of the desk is a plate of eggs and toast, apparently set out for you by the hotel's owner. The walls are plain and unadorned, save for a single window that faces towards the lake. However, this view is currently blocked by the incredibly thick fog, which has taken on a pale green hue. Your vision is obscured entirely, and you can't see into the depths of that outlandish green mist. You also notice your personal belongings placed around the room, exactly as you left them the night before. Go to 106. After getting dressed and eating the modest breakfast set out for you, does that mean he snuck into the bedroom, the hotel owner, and left it there whilst we were asleep? That's a bit weird. You're ready to begin your day. You take a moment to consider what that means for you. Your mind turns to Professor Harris. If you're so inclined, you might be able to investigate the circumstances of his death further. That might be interesting to do. Considering that you don't have his widow Amelia's address, you would have to start your search with the official report filed with Professor Howe at the police station. Okay, we kind of spoke to him yesterday. Alternatively, you could take this free time to look through your belongings and examine any items you might have. The hotel owner has been in your room, so a check of your things might be in order. Or perhaps you have some other reason to look over your possessions. We might look at the journal. Professor Harris's journal if we get the opportunity. Finally, if you feel that your business in Esbury isn't concluded, you could always try to find Lart Sanford at the ferry. Oh, to return. Go to the police station, look over your items, go to the ferry. Let's look over our items. I think looking at the journal might help, which is 32. See if we get the option. A cursory inspection of your personal belongings reveals that nothing is amiss. All of your possessions are just as you left them. While you're here looking things over, you can take this opportunity to look more closely and scrutinise any of the items you bought at the estate sale. Alternatively, you may leave and go explore elsewhere if your curiosity is satisfied. After examining each item, you'll be redirected to this entry or given the opportunity to proceed as appropriate. If you have none of the items or are done looking over what you brought, choose to investigate elsewhere. If you bought the journal from the estate sale and want to look at it over, turn to 74. And then we might have a look at the idol. Can we do the idol? Yes, we can. But we'll do the journal first. 74. I think it might be interesting to find out. Oh, wow. This is a massive bit. Okay, pause it, go grab yourself a drink or something. You're in for nearly a whole page worth of text. I will attempt my darndest not to fluff any of it. Though you glanced at the notebook during the estate sale, you hadn't had the time to properly look it over until now. Reading through the book, you become deeply engrossed and spend the next few hours in study. The time spent yields valuable information. Professor Harris made several trips to India starting about 12 years ago. During these visits, he went to multiple sites to make observations and recover artefacts. His longest and most profitable trip appears to have been 10 years ago during an excursion to Sarnath, India, where he writes about recovering several items from an active Buddhist shrine. How do you recover items from an active shrine? That's steal items. Apparently, Professor Harris had some regrets about this theft, but he couldn't resist taking the artefacts from for his personal collection. And descriptions of the items he came across in Sarnath matched some of the items at the estate sale last night. The clay cylinders, the gemstone-encrusted altar, and the lizard-like idol are all described in detail in the entries related to his trip to Sarnath. These same items then appear throughout the rest of his journal. He'd clearly been studying them over the past decade and developed something of a fixation with them. It was the idol that initially caught Harris's eye, we have that, and according to him, the depiction of the great and grotesque water lizard matched no description of any known Hindu deity. Hoping to find clues to the idol's identity, Harris set about trying to translate the mysterious script on the cylinders and the altar. In doing so, he met with significant difficulty, as the text was only barely recognisable as an archaic dialect of a pre-Sanskrit language. The process was slow and painstaking until about a year ago. At this time, Professor Harris writes of having a strange and enlightening dream. He reports waking in the ancient world from whence these items originated, a grand city of marble walls and onyx streets, of bronze gates and marvellous places and gardens. He writes of visiting 17 tower temples of this ancient city and meeting the bearded gods who dwelled there, sat upon their ivory thrones. Harris calls the strange place Sarnath. Despite the sheer impossibility of this, he claims that among the temples he learned the secrets of the ancient writing. His next entry goes on to describe the odd clay cylinders as the brick cylinders of Cadrathon. Though he hadn't yet identified the other objects, the next few pages have been torn from the journal. Is this the dream travelling? Because I have played several Cthulhu games. I mean, surely we all have. The board games and the living card game. Is this the Dream Worlds? I've only played brief bits of Cthulhu, and I did play a big campaign many years ago. But the only thing I remember about it was the DM who was running for us, Simon Stanmore. He's a photographer who lives in England now. Then he wasn't. Then he was at school, and I remember there was a coin on a headstone in a graveyard and none of us worked out what we were supposed to do with it. And we all got very frustrated, and he gave us no clues whatsoever. So it was proper traditional Cthulhu. I digress. The entries resume with more mundane matters though. There's still references to the artefacts from time to time. The most recent entries in the journal speak of Harris's daily studies and living with Amelia. It's clear that he cared about her deeply from the way he writes about her, but he laments that his studies kept him from spending the time with her that he would have liked. Instead, he lavished her with gifts and money, which she was all too happy to accept. He notes that Amelia had never been happier despite the distance between them. The last entry to catch your eye is dated a little over a week ago. Apparently, the pages torn from his journal went missing only recently. Professor Harris expresses deep concern at this, as there were no signs of forced entry to his study, and only he and Amelia had access to it, though he was sure he hadn't removed them from the journal himself. You finish your reading by glossing over the last week of the professor's life, which is rather uneventful and peaceful beyond his continued obsession with the artefacts and his occasional worrying about Amelia. Return to 32, or go to 32. Return to 32. Okay, that was quite interesting. That was quite enlightening. So we'll now have a look at the idol that he caught his eye so much, which is number 8. If we go to the ferry, are we going to end up not being able to return? You look the idol over. It's made of sea green stone and chiselled in the likeness of a water lizard of some sort. The sculpture is grotesque and hideous, and the very depiction of the lizard-like creature unnerves you. Still, the work is extremely well preserved and unquestionably ancient. You feel uncomfortable staring at the alien-looking thing for so long, so you start away under the bed and out of sight. Go to 32. Alright. So we could go to the police station, or we could go to the ferry. Let's go to the police station and speak to Officer Powell and see if Officer Powell can tell us anything about the professor's demise. You step out into the greenish mist. You feel it clinging tightly to you as you make your way the short distance to the police station. Upon entering the small brick building, you're struck with a sense of claustrophobia. The walls here are uncomfortably close together and the space is tight. It's like going into some of the chemist warehouses which are in Sydney. Crammed into the tiny structure are a large desk, several filing cabinets and a few chairs. A closet-sized holding cell with iron bells sits at the rear of the room. Iron bars sits at the rear of the room. Behind the large desk is Officer Powell, smoking a cigar with his feet propped up onto the table. We're going to walk up to him and say, "Do you realise what an absolute..." Oh, the word completely slipped my mind. I'll come back to it. Oh no, I'm going to really think about this now. I'm come back. Oh God, what is the word? What is he? He's sitting there with his feet up on his desk, smoking his cigar. He is I can't think of the word. His coat is unbuttoned and his hat lies on top of a stack of papers next to a battered old revolver. He opens one eye and frowns at you, sighing through his cigar as he straightens himself up to look presentable. "If you're bothering me right now, I'm going to assume this must be important. You mentioned that you would like to see the police report of Professor William Harris's death, to which he replies with a snort, 'You've no business dealing with that. And even if you did, this is my jurisdiction. Shove off and leave me in peace.' He doesn't seem cooperative, but perhaps you could convince him that you have some special circumstances that warrants you looking through the file. Make a fast talk roll. My fast talk is 25. Make a fast talk roll. Let's move all these out the way. Fast talk. Come on, dice. Last time you didn't do very well. Can you do well this time? 82. No, you can't. We fail. 101. You try to convince the officer that you have a particularly good reason for needing access to the file, but he simply doesn't care. "Scram, stranger. You're ruining my smoke. If you want to dig at the dead guy, go bother his widow. Her place is over the north side of town, right next to the church. can't damn well miss it. Oh, he really should have some kind of Boston accent, shouldn't he? It's written as though he does. Officer Powell will be of no more help to you this time. Go to find Harris's house 90. We'll go and find Harris's house 90. Are we supposed to be marking these once we get successes? Reading this book, using luck, insanity, luck points. Could we have... Oh no, even that. That's too much luck points to get that as a success. I don't think we get an opportunity to level up at all, so I don't think there's any point marking them. So we will just go to number 90 and find the Harris household. You walk into town towards the Harris address. Even knowing the location, it's difficult for you to find your way due to your unfamiliarity with the town and the density of this peculiar green mist. As a result, it's some time before you arrive at the Harris house. As you approach the building, a man steps out of the fog, blocking your path. He's young and thin, with a rather angular features and a faint hint of a moustache atop his lips. It's the bloke from the night before. He's dressed in a dark suit and stares at you from beneath a flat cap. You're an unwelcome surprise. I don't know what you're looking for, but you won't find it here. His eyes betray you your eyes betray you as you glance at the Harris house. The man scowls visibly. Why don't you leave the poor widow alone, you creep? If you want to bother her, you're going to have to go through old Joshua here. Capiche? So he should have a criminal Italian accent. I suppose professional voice actors read the scripts and mark and decide what the voices will be before reading them to be recorded, not just straight read it. His hand brushes beneath his coat as if searching for something, but then he stops himself. He pauses for a moment, looking you over once more before spitting on the ground at your feet and turning away. To call out to Joshua, go to 5. To make your way to the Harris house, go to 55. To heed his warning and return to the hotel, go to 122. I reckon we'll just go... I don't know, we could call... No, she's not going to call out to him, though she is an ex. Maybe she'll call out to him. What is the personality? Is she... She is inquisitive and ambitious. Nah, she's just going to go... She's going to just ignore him and go to the Harris house. 55. Despite Joshua's urgings, you feel compelled to speak to Amelia yourself. You approach the front of the house and note your surroundings. The house's exterior hints at the wealth of the occupants, but then again, so do most places in town. Directly across from the residence is a small church, whose religious iconography seems to have inspired the Harrises in the design of their own home. A bronze cross hangs over the front door, and decorative columns line the outside walls of the two-storey house. All in all, the architectural style is somewhere between Baroque, with a pair of carved angels lounge... is somewhat Baroque. I'm going to do that again. All in all, the architectural style is somewhat Baroque, complete with a pair of carved angels lounging beneath the eaves that are just visible through the strange haze. You knock on the door and wait in the mist for a few moments, hoping for someone to hear you. Eventually, much to your relief, the widow Amelia answers the door. She's wearing a bright red dress which accents her deep crimson lipstick. Strange morning dress. She appears to have taken great care of her appearance. She flashes you a smile and invites you inside. The house opens into a large foyer and you see various crates and bundles stacked high along the walls. Just selling off a few more of the common things. Mind the mess! The porter hasn't come for it yet. She takes you by the hand and leads you past the stacks of items, helping you to pick your way through the deceased Professor Harris's assembled possessions. She takes you into a small drawing room full of antique furniture and offers you some coffee. After settling in and exchanging a few well-mannered pleasantries, you ask in more detail about the late Professor Harris. Amelia sighs theatrically and looks down at her hands. I can't imagine what you want to ask about William. I found him in his study, with the gun still in his mouth. What more could you want to know? Make a psychology roll. What's our psychology? It's not bad, is it, if I remember rightly? 50%. Okay. Make a psychology roll. If we succeed, go to 126. If we fail, go to 31. 21! We succeed. We go to 126. Do we succeed? Psychology? 50. Yes, we do. 126. Actually, we succeed at a hard one. You don't know why you hadn't realised it before. Selling all of his things, adopting such a flirty demeanour, dismissing questions about her husband's death. Amelia doesn't seem too broken up about her husband's passing. Really? We needed to make a psychology roll for this. She's hiding something. You'd bet your career on it. You suspect she's involved in Professor Harris's death in some form or another. Well, you know, she probably stole those pages from the journal as well. You open your mouth, prepared to call her bluff and press for more information, but you're interrupted by a loud knock at the door. Amelia jumps up, startled, and stands there for a moment in confusion as the pounding on the door resumes. Police! Open the door! Amelia's face drains white as she goes to answer the door. Your gut tells you something is wrong here. You feel uneasy about the officer at the door. You tell yourself you're being irrational and on edge, but you've some trouble fighting that feeling. You have a few precious moments to react. To ignore your instincts and wait, go to 47. To take this chance to hide, make a stealth roll. If you succeed, go to 98. I think I put extra points into stealth. No, I didn't. I've got a stealth of 20. Alright, let's see if we can succeed at a stealth roll. We'll hide. We'll hide and do the Caleb. Don't look at me, right? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Alright, let's see what we can do. We're going to try and hide. Stealth roll of... 25. 5 points out. But we fail. 20. Oh no! We'll use luck. I am going to burn 5 points of luck to make that a 20. So we now have 45 points of luck. So we have succeeded. Oh, there we go. I actually remembered to use luck. 98. Your hunches are never wrong. Whatever the offer is here for, you don't want any part of it. Glancing around, you weigh your options. You decide to creep towards Amelia and Officer Powell, positioning yourself behind a stack of items that are waiting for the porter. Neither of them seem to notice you as they rush past your hiding place, giving you a clear line to the door. Alternatively, now might be a good time to explore the house. While there is a risk of discovery, it's not as if you have anything to lose by snooping around somewhere you weren't supposed to be. For a brief moment, your gaze wanders to the staircase opposite the entranceway. The bedrooms and study are likely up there, and you might be able to find some valuable information. To make your escape, to explore upstairs. We've got to explore upstairs, haven't we? I mean, we do have a criminal past. Go to 110. 110. You turn your attention to the set of stairs opposite the entrance. You ascend the staircase and see 2 doors, one to either side of you. The door to your left is slightly ajar, and no doubt leads to the bedroom. By process of elimination, the door to your right must lead to the study. It seems to be locked, and you don't have a key. With enough time, you might be able to get the door open, but it would probably be unwise to spend too long trying, since someone may come to investigate. Alright. I don't think we have lockpicking. Oh, we do! We've got 50% in lockpicking. Or locksmith. Dear me, Amelia, what did you get up to in your younger years? To enter the bedroom, to enter the study, make a locksmith roll. If you fail this roll, you may attempt to push it and roll again, but if you fail a second time, there will be a greater consequence. If you push the roll... Okay, so we are going to try and get that door open just quickly. So we have got a 50% chance to locksmith this door. This is where I roll 100. No, I rolled 75. Alright, I could try pushing the roll, or I could use my luck, but that's 25 luck, which would knock me down to 20 points of luck, which is a large luck use. So instead, we will push the locksmith roll. Come on, Amelia, you can do it. 73. Alright, I think I'm going to have to burn luck, otherwise that is going to be a bad failure. So that's 23 points of luck I'm going to have to burn, which leaves me 22 points of luck, because otherwise they're going to come running upstairs. 108. We're going to end up with no luck and be very... Oh, another big bit to read. You reach into your pocket and produce the bobby pin that you carry on you for just such an occasion. You insert it into the lock and fumble with it for a few minutes. I can actually pick locks. I taught myself how to pick locks, and I bought myself some lock picks. They're legal in Australia. So I taught myself to pick locks. You cannot do it with just a bobby pin. There is no tension on the cylinder to allow the cylinder to turn. You need the bobby pin and a tension wrench of some form. Anything can do, just to put tension on the lock and make it sort of turn to allow the pins to go into place. It's surprisingly easy to pick a lock, scarily easy to pick a lock, in fact, if you investigate it and try. It sticks and strains for a few seconds. You fear that it's going to break in the lock, and then the tumblers give and the door clicks open. You push your way into the small study and find the room much as you would have expected it. The door opens across from a window, which lets in the pale greenish light of the mist. This illuminates the room, which is adorned primarily with mostly empty bookcases. There are also a few glass display cases throughout the room, but they are similarly empty, and at the far end of the room, just beneath the window, is a desk, still littered with the professor's blood-soaked papers. She didn't even clean up the blood. Searching through the desk drawers, you find stacks of notes and various personal items. Buried in the bottom drawer, you find an impossibly old scrap of papyrus pressed into a glass frame. All across the ancient document are strange and unusual scrawls. As you pick it up to inspect it, you notice a sheet of paper lightly attached to the back of the frame, bearing the same scrawls as the papyrus, but with annotations in its margins. Presumably, this is a translation of the papyrus text. As you read it over, you marvel at the impossibility of its contents. The papyrus purports to be written by a priest from an unknown city by the name of eerie. In this account, the priest records observations of an odd and ugly race of beings who once lived upon a lake in the forgotten land of Manar. The document goes into great detail about the fire rituals of these strange creatures and speaks of the haunting dances they would perform in the light of the flames beneath the gibbous moon. That's a state of moon, but I don't know what it is. And always under the watchful gaze of a sea green stone idol chiselled in the likeness of a great lizard. The priest's writings go on to mention rituals used to ward off the influence of that detestable creature, rituals performed by humans. The text for the ritual in the annotation is untranslated and simply rendered in standard characters so that it reads Yayag Nog Nugul a Bokra. Maybe Bokra is the creature. The strange phrase sticks in your mind. Oh. Do apologise to everyone if that is now stuck in your mind. You pause for a moment to consider the implications. You carefully detach the translation, fold it up and put it in your pocket as evidence before exiting the study. You have learned a ritual chant. Note it on your investigator sheet. Oh. Okay. Where can we write ritual chants? Is there anywhere special for ritual chants? Yes, here. Okay, we have learnt ritual chant entry 235. Do excuse me. Do feel free to talk amongst yourself whilst I write this down. 235. When prompted, you may choose to use this chant. If you do so, turn to page 235. Now, go to page 140. Ooh. Ooh. Let me put my character sheet back. I'm going to write it here as well. Chant 235. Ritual. Not bad. It's all good. What time is it? 29 minutes. 140. We'll see what happens next. You turn around and leave the door closed behind you. Looking down the stairs, you realise that you are not alone. Dominating the entranceway is Joshua, red-faced and furious. He has a gun in his right hand, and he quickly aims in your direction. You've just a second to hit the ground before he pulls the trigger. Perhaps your reflexes are quick enough. Make a dodge roll. If you succeed, go to 1, 3, 2. If you fail, take 1d10 plus 2 damage. If you survive this, go to 96. However, if this reduces you to 0 hit points, you are dead. Your visitor is over. Oh, bugger. I've got 22 luck points left. I have a dodge of 50. Alright, let's see if we can dodge this. Come on, Eleanor. Come on, Eleanor. Oh, 3. Nimble, as the streets have trained Eleanor to be, as the Boston 9 or 6 needed her to be, nimble as nimble can be, she flattens her belly against the floor and the bullet whizzes over her head, and then he points down and shoots her in the top of the head. You throw yourself to the floor with all haste, trying to get out of the line of fire. You hear the loud sound of the gunshot as the bullet embeds itself in the wall behind you. You hear a squeal as Amelia comes running after Joshua, begging him to stop shooting and put the gun away. He curses and shoves her aside, but he doesn't holster his weapon. He rushes past her and up the stairs just as you manage to stumble to your feet. He comes at you, swinging his fist. It's not ideal, but at least with a gun put... Oh, but he does holster his weapon. I do apologise. Poor Joshua. He comes at you, swinging his fist. It's not ideal, but at least with the gun put away, you have a fighting chance. Make a fighting brawling roll. If you succeed, go to 21. If you fail, take damage. If you survive this, go to 52. However, this reduces 0. You are dead. Okay, brawling. What is our brawling? Our brawling is 45. Of course, she really did sort of like get dirty in the streets, didn't she, did Eleanor? Okay, come on, Eleanor. And I was saying in the last one, I was saying you don't really need fighting or brawling type things. It is Cthulhu. Well, don't listen to me, obviously. I mean, many people don't. It's the wise thing to do. 26! Under the 45. Damn, Eleanor. You should be a private eye, let alone a professor. Roll, you succeed, go to 21. 21. As Joshua towers over you, fists raised in rage, an idea crosses your mind. We don't kick him in his family jewels, do we? You pull both of your feet up and drive them into his chest. You kick him back with all your might, sending him tumbling down the stairs. Oh, wow, we break his neck, do we? You hear several thumps and thuds as Joshua rolls down the steps. When he reaches the bottom, he lays there, sprawled out and clearly injured. His groans portray his semi-conscious state, and you walk over him confidently. With one final kick, you send him over the edge into unconsciousness. You go for it, Eleanor. Amelia is mortified at the sight. Maybe we can take the gun? She runs out into the street, fleeing the scene. You quickly search Joshua's pockets and find his wallet, which includes his identification, with an address. A search of his other pockets reveals a house key. So we have Joshua's address and key. Several options are immediately apparent. You can continue searching the house, leave in pursuit of Amelia, or make your way to Joshua's house. I think a quick search. Mind you, Joshua's here, but he might leg it. I think a quick search of the house might be in order, because I want to know what those missing pages of the journal are, which is 179. Oh, I might be pushing our luck here. 179. With no immediate threat to yourself, you're free to explore the Harris household, although you do so quickly in case someone comes looking. Glancing about the sitting room you're in, you find it's in a bit of a mess from the earlier scuffle. Looking towards the entrance, you note the foyer, filled with boxes, crates and other unidentified objects covered with dust sheets. You poke your head into the next room and find a kitchen and adjacent dining room, both spotlessly maintained, though sparsely furnished. Peeking beneath the dust sheets in the entranceway, you find various items of furniture and decor, as well as stacks and stacks of books. Many of them are historical texts and reference materials, some of which were written by Professor Harris himself. There is also a large number of general works of science and literature, as befits any well-educated man. You place the covers back down, sensing that you will find nothing of value here. You turn your attention instead to the set of stairs opposite the entrance. You ascend the staircase and see 2 doors, one either side of you. The door to your left is slightly ajar, leads to the bedroom. Process of elimination. We did this, didn't we? I don't want to spend too long since Amelia or one that's close to her may return soon. Well, we looked at that one, so we'll have a look in the bedroom, which is 2:07. What time? Maybe we will leave it that Eleanor Woods, as Eleanor, it's probably there's nothing in here to actually look. Oh no, there is. There's some stuff. There's some lockpicking stuff in here. So we will cinematic close and credit roll as Eleanor pushes open the door of the bedroom to have a look inside and to explore the bedroom, and we will deal with that next time. For now, what an exciting little thing that was. Good old Eleanor, scrappy Eleanor. For now, her job's done.